This isn't my normal content. Got my hand trackers on, hair's down, got my glasses off, which means this is going to be very wordy. This isn't meant to be my normal fun content. This is something serious that I'm wanting to talk to you guys about for a while. But I've been in a very emotional place for a while, and it's only been recently that fog has cleared and I've found my words. I've been able to gather my thoughts. And I know a lot of people are probably feeling that way, which is why I want to talk to you. And I want to preface something very quickly before we go any further. This video isn't for everyone. This is largely a video for my community, the LGBTQ plus community. I decided to make it a public video because if you're not a member of my community yet, and you feel like you need to hear it, I wanted to welcome you to listen. So, for those that aren't aware of what this is about yet, this is about the United States election, the results of said election. Before we get into this, I don't want to hear from any Republicans or conservatives that voted for Donald Trump. I don't want to hear a goddamn word from any of you MAGA hats in my comments, because I tell you what, it will block you, it will ban you. Don't even try me right now. With that prefaced, I think we can get into this now. So I spent 2 days crying, broken. I couldn't eat, couldn't really sleep, couldn't really do anything. On the third day, I decided to check in on my community because I had just kind of cut myself off from the world for those 2 days. And people were really relieved to hear from me. They were glad I was safe and okay. But the gravity of why people were so relieved to hear from me hadn't quite hit me yet. Until I got on Twitter, of all places, X, whatever. And at the top of my timeline was a post saying that over 2,000 members of the LGBTQ plus community had died. They had taken their lives when they heard the election results. And I've endured a lot in my life. I often make a comment, I'm Iron Mouse 2.0. Not just because Iron Mouse is my Oshi, but because, like her, I have a very messed up immune system and body. I require a lot of medical attention, and if I eat the wrong thing or, stress my body the wrong way, I can get very, very sick. So I've endured a lot, pain, suffering, and sickness. But hearing over 2,000 members of my community, the LGBTQ plus community that I'm also a big part of, and people that I knew and loved were gone, broke me in a way that I've never been broken before. I've had losses of pets, family members. I have never experienced anything on a scale like this. And I want to talk to you about it. Because when I saw that number, at over 2,000, and because it was on Twitter, at first I was in disbelief. Like, how can that number be that high? That seems outrageous. That almost seems clickbaity. It's not unbelievable, but at the same time, it seems outrageous. So they didn't have a link to the original numbers. They didn't have an article or anything. So I decided to start looking. And despite it all, I couldn't find the original article of where that number came from. But what I was able to find was some information that allowed me to draw my own conclusions by doing some of my own math. And I'm going to provide links to all of these websites in the description, so you are more than welcome to read into it yourself, do your own research. I would encourage you to always do your own research. And you are able to do your own math, and by all means feel free to comment if my math is off, if it's too high or too low. Absolutely, you can tell me. But after the re-election of former President Donald Trump, crisis hotlines for the LGBTQ+ youth have seen unprecedented surges in phone calls, with many teens expressing anxiety, fear, and talk of suicide. This article that I'm reading from comes from MSN.com. LGBTQ+ youth community across the country have faced heightened mental health challenges. Many share feelings of abandonment and fear of losing gender-affirming care under a second Trump administration. The Rainbow Youth Project received a distressing call from a 16-year-old in Alabama, just days before the 2024 election. The teen revealed they were part of a suicide pact with 3 other LGBTQ+ teenagers who agreed to end their lives should Trump win. Fortunately, the organization intervened and was able to prevent the tragedy. They had decided that if Trump won the election, that they were going to kill themselves, because that meant that the United States people did not want them here and did not want their existence to be accepted. Lance Preston, the organization's executive director, said, "I'm so thankful that young person reached out to report this incident, because we were able to get a hold of their parents, get in touch with other kids, and get people involved and do some mitigation and get them some help. But that would have been 4 kids that we would have lost, and that is unacceptable." And I agree. I thought this whole conservative Republican MAGA movement was about protecting human lives, about kids, especially the big one. At least that's what they said it was supposed to be about. You're not doing a very good job at that, because here's 4 children that felt you didn't love them anymore, that America didn't love them. The Trevor Project reported a drastic increase in crisis calls, with requests for help doubling in the days after Election Day. Just the past few days, the Trevor Project has seen nearly 200% increase in conversation topics related to the election across our 24/7 crisis services. James Black, CEO of the Trevor Project, said 90% of the LGBTQ+ young people said that recent politics negatively impacted their well-being, and transgender youth have been disproportionately impacted, with new research showing anti-transgender policies increase suicide attempts among transgender youth by as much as 72%. The increase in calls has put a significant strain on crisis hotlines, many of which are now working extended hours to shorten wait times. What about these kids, MAGA? Where's their salvation? Where's their love? Why are they being ignored and unprotected? Is it because they're gay? Trans? Non-binary? Or is it that you never really cared about youth to begin with? You just care about what you believe is normal. That didn't really give me an answer to the original post of over 2,000 members of the LGBTQ+ community unaliving themselves. And I didn't want to say anything about it and it be wrong or an exaggeration or just ridiculous. So I did some more digging. I looked into the Trevor Project itself. This link is directly from their website. I did find some other disturbing information, though. Suicide is the second leading cause of death among young people, aged 10 to 14. The third leading cause of death among 15 to 24-year-olds. And I realize that this information isn't necessarily 100% up to date, but up top here it says that this was last updated January of 2024. This was the newest information I could find. If you can find something newer, by all means, feel free to share. But this is what I could find. Lesbian, gay, bisexual, transgender, queer, and questioning LGBTQ plus young people are a significantly increased risk. In fact, LGBTQ plus young people are more than 4 times as likely to attempt suicide than their peers. The Trevor Project estimates that more than 1.8 million LGBTQ plus young people ages 13 to 24 seriously consider suicide each year in the US. And at least one attempts suicide every 45 seconds. That's unacceptable. The Trevor Project's 2023 U.S. National Survey on the mental health of LGBTQ young people found that 41% of LGBTQ plus young people seriously considered attempting suicide in the past year, including roughly half of transgender and non-binary youth. Again, happened protecting our youth. What happened? This doesn't look like we're protecting our youth. This looks like the very act of putting a felon and a known anti-LGBTQ plus supporter in charge of anything is a direct conflict to that. Or again, I ask you, do these youth not matter? It's only the youth you deem worthy of protecting. This still didn't give me the numbers I needed. It gave me a little bit more insight, but not really the numbers I needed. So, I decided to go a little bit deeper. Despite that, I hated everything I was reading. But I really wanted to know if that number, that 2,000 plus, was accurate. So I went further and found this. Beginning November 5th, approximately around midnight Eastern Time, I tried to stream the past couple days, but we've been having some issues with streaming in my area. A couple people have been having streaming issues in certain areas, so I wasn't really able to stream this. So one of my community members suggested making this video. So at the time of making this video, it's a couple days after the election. The Trevor Project's classic crisis service, Lifeline Chat and Text, are experiencing significantly high outreach from LGBTQ plus young people, needing support in direct response to election results. An approximate 125% increase in crisis contact volume on election day through this morning compared to the normal days. We anticipate this number will be at least maintained and potentially only increased. I need you to put this in perspective. 125% increase is astronomical. It is unheard of. That literally correlates that this man, these people, these ideologies, Project 2025, this ultra-religious conservative movement is not healthy. The Trevor Project wants LGBTQ plus young people to know that we are here for you, no matter the outcome of any election. And we will continue to fight for every LGBTQ plus young person to have access to safe, affirming spaces, especially during challenging times. LGBTQ plus young people, your life matters, and you were born to live it. The Trevor Project will always be here to support you, to listen, and to offer you the care you deserve, James Black, they, she, he, CEO of the Trevor Project. The organization's research shows that a staggering 90% of LGBTQ+ young people said that their well-being was negatively impacted due to recent politics. Additionally, anti-transgender state laws significantly increased incidents of the past year. Suicide attempts among trans and non-binary youth as much as 72%. What is it going to take to get you people to see that gender-affirming care is health care as much as abortion is health care? How many women have already died of sepsis due to miscarriage? Because doctors are too afraid to treat them. This isn't healthy. This isn't normal. And as tragic as this still isn't the numbers I needed. But it did give me some information to start to do some napkin math. And as much as it made me sick to look at this, I went further. Because I needed a baseline. I needed something to do the math for. Well, I found this from usafacts.org. And I find this information both disheartening and fascinating, as this information directly correlates to those of you that don't care about anything except men's health and think that, oh, men are suffering so much and the rest of us are just being overly dramatic. Well, what's interesting is your health and the health of my community run hand in hand, because I met a lot of cis white guys that aren't as cis as they think they are. And because I also know the analytics of my channel, because I pay attention, I know that the majority of you that watch my channel are between 20 and 30 years old. So, what that boils down to, I'll enhance this image so you can see what I have popped up here. That most of you, the majority that watch my channel, are between 20 and 30 years old. And according to this data, which is again the most updated data I could find, that almost 30 of you every single day think about deleting yourselves from this world. So almost as many of you as many of us are feeling the same way. The actual total of both male and female is much higher. All this information correlates. That gave me a bit of a baseline, but I needed a little bit more before I could do some math. So I dug a little deeper. And this is what I found. From the CDC.gov. And I don't care what your opinions of the CDC are. I looked up as many neutral perspectives as I could find. And these were the neutral perspectives. The number I chose to go with was 17.6. Non-Hispanic white. Most people identify as non-Hispanic white. So, 17.6 out of every 100,000. So with those numbers, I was able to kind of draw a conclusion from this. I went with the 57.2% of every 100,000 LGBTQ plus people. So if you cut the 125% increase in half, which is the increase of calls that the center received, to about 75%. So what this is assuming, because again, these are averages, because I couldn't find any information regarding where that original 2,000 plus came from. If you cut the 125% in half to 75%, which that is despite them calling the crisis center, despite everything, that they still felt they were no longer welcome in this world. There was no place for them. That equals out to 100.1%. So yeah, over 2,000 seems like a pretty damn accurate estimate of the number of people could no longer stand to live in this world, some of whom were my friends and loved ones. And I don't want this to be just about me being angry or me being negative or talking about horrible events and tragedies. I want to deliver a message to my community and to the LGBTQ plus community as a whole. I want to say to you, your life isn't over. Do not let this or any other struggle make you think that. I know that this setback is major, but so too can be our comeback. And I want you to hear me when I say this, because if there's anything in life that I understand, it's this. Strength, pain builds strength. I know, right now, it might be really hard for you to feel that way, but even in our darkest storms, there is still a plan for you to shine your brightest. I know, because whatever greater power exists in this world, it did it for me. I should have died so many times. I shouldn't be here with you all right now. The things that I survived has baffled doctors. They don't understand why I'm still here, why I'm not connected to some machine somewhere. And all I can say to them is, I guess I'm just too stubborn to die. Or I'm too stupid to know it's that time. I don't know. But something in me refuses to give up. And I can tell you right here and now that faith will allow you to go through things that you don't understand, just to bring you to the place it needs you to be. So don't let this season take your life. We can still win this. We are still in this fight. If it wasn't for my darkest moments, I would have never found the strength to shine my light. There is a purpose greater than your pain, greater than all of our pain. Because there is no growth without rain. And sometimes it takes our hardest storms to birth our greatest change. Your life is not over. We need to keep living. It doesn't matter what happened in our past. It doesn't matter what is coming down the line. And it doesn't matter what these or any other results are of any election anywhere. We are just one choice away from a new beginning. There is more to our story to be written. Our perspective can either be our prisons or our power. So no matter what, continue to build your life. And listen, I get it. Depression is real, especially right now. Deliverance is just as real as depression. It is time for us to put a semicolon where these guys are trying to put a period, because our sentence hasn't ended. And forget anyone or anything that tries to make you feel like you are not worthy or not enough. You are more than enough, and you are more than worthy of life and happiness. Please don't try to end your story just because this chapter sucks. Breakdowns happen right before breakthroughs. So let's break this cycle that's trying to break us. Let's kill these thoughts that are trying to kill us. No struggle is too great, so long as we love and support one another and continue to work together. Let's make tomorrow new. And I want you to remember, regardless of what these people say, you always have a choice. Do not stay silent about your battles. Give your pain a voice. It's okay to not be okay. I know, we're all one struggle away, especially right now. Our change is coming, though. We just have to keep fighting and keep believing day by day. This storm will eventually run out of rain. And I know we're all a little broken right now. But the last time I checked, broken crayons still color the same. Together we can endure this. And we can make a difference. I want you to take care of yourselves. Keep living. Stay strong. And I'll be with you again here soon. Promise you. Be safe. And I love you guys.